So for the past year, I've been wanting to increase my brain power since I have probably below average brain power compared to normal people. Although I make up for that by studying a lot. So for the past year, I've been trying to build this so-called tDCS device, transcranial direct current stimulation, and I finally made it with the help of a friend Manuel and my physics teacher, Dr. Kresman. So here it is. Um, there. See, I can't turn the webcam or rotate the webcam because the screen is just slightly attached to the hinges of the laptop. So if I turn it, it's going to disconnect the webcam from the USB. So I'll have to lift it up. Here's one of the sponges. This looks like it's this is the anode sponge, negative sponge, and here is the positive sponge. All right, and this is the board. I just have it on a piece of cardboard. This is a 9-volt battery, and here's a few alligator clips since I don't have any solder with me, although my friend Valerie is offering to lend me her soldering iron so I can solder this all the pieces together. Here is the here's the big guy in this circuit. This is the LM317 current regulator, or it's a voltage regulator being used as the current regulator. So that would make sure the voltage is constant, or I could reduce the voltage to some a lower voltage so that the current becomes lower. So I basically have this set to about 1 milliamp, but depending on how hard I have this sponges pressed down on my head, and also depending on how much hair I have at the time, it's going to vary a little bit. So it's usually about 1 milliamp or 1.5 milliamp, 1 to 1.5 milliamps, which is the amount of current you really need for brain stimulation, or at least for the effect. So a little on what I feel. One thing that's certain about tDCS is that the effects are immediate. Basically, you put it on, so about 5 minutes later, you'll know basically how you're going to feel for the next hour or so. Depending on how long you leave the electrodes on, that determines how long the effect is going to last. So before, which I've been experimenting on which places on my head would or which places on my head would improve memory, more specifically visual memory. So I've been thinking, okay, so there's the left dorsal prefrontal cortex, which I thought would be around about left side right here, and that would be where the cathode goes, and the anode would go right up here. Well, I put it on, and after about 5 minutes, I felt really angry and depressed. So I guess that wasn't a good idea. So I took it down, or just took it off, and I was searching on the internet for something that would, for a better one, because this is the one I sort of just browsed around the internet, looked at pictures and sort of stuff, but it wasn't detailed enough. It didn't have an explanation. So I decided, hey, let's just try it and see what I feel. So then I found a different one, a different placement on the brain, and that's the cathode goes right in the center of the head, and the anode goes on the neck, back of the neck. So it will stimulate the entire back part of the brain. That got me a really high score on lumosity, and I've only been stimulating my brain for about 5 minutes. So when I was stimulating this part, or the part I was talking about before, that made me really angry, and I know the effect is negative because I've been using it multiple times on that section, and every time after about 5 minutes, it would make me really angry, it would make me feel really bad. So I stopped using it for a day, and the next day I would try to see if that's the case, if that's true. Most people, I don't think you should be trying this on yourself. I'm just a little bit crazy, I guess. So yeah, don't do this at home, or at least research it properly before you do it. And so that part didn't work. I put it on the back of my head, and that works really well, very well. When I had this part stimulated, I could only get about a 3 or 4,000 points on the lumosity test for working memory, or yeah, visual memory. Then I switched it to the back part of the brain, right from here down to here down to my neck. Then I got a score of 45,000. That is a totally very significant increase of order of magnitude. It's a non-trivial increase. So, and that was only stimulated for 5 minutes. If I had stimulated it for a little bit longer, which I probably shouldn't today because I've already stimulated the negative part of the brain and I just automatically switch it to the back part of the brain, but I'll see how it goes tomorrow to see if it's rather if it's a placebo or it's by just luck or something like that. But I mean, our tDCS has been tested or researched for over 50 years, so the effects are there. The question now is whether I built this correctly and whether I put it on the right spot of my brain, which I think I finally found the right spot to put on on my brain. So yeah, also another thing is I played the Lumosity game for visual memory before I put on the tDCS device. And it seems like when I put the tDCS device here, it lowered all of my scores. It lowered my mathematics scores, which is basically you doing addition, multiplication, division, a lot of that, and you have to do it really quickly. It lowered the score from the control when I wasn't using any of this at all. And then it decreased my visual memory. It also decreased my reaction time. So it decreased everything when I put it right here for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. I haven't tested my skills or my scores on the reaction time and the math skills by putting the sponges here and back on the back of my neck. But I know with visual memory, it increased it by more than, well, what is, okay, so my score was about 4,000 before, and after putting it on, I got 40,000, so it increased my score by 10 times. So that is a pretty large increase. And if you don't know what Lumosity is, it is an online so-called memory training game, or it has a bunch of games. Trains memory, trains attention, trains IQ. So I like that site. I usually go there. And another very well-known game that I could probably test is the Dual Ennebeck game, and that's specifically for working memory training. It's not just a game to test your working memory, but it's a game where you can train working memory. So hopefully, knowing about my tDCS device now, I could be more efficient with my studying. I spent a lot of time making this, so I've been slacking a little on my studying, and now I'm catching up. I have a microbiome exam next week and a physics exam the week after next week, and I just took my organic chemistry exam last week, and I don't think I did well on the organic chemistry exam. Actually, I know I did. The mistakes I made were very simple in my opinion. It's a very trivial mistakes that I could have made. I could have easily done much better if I probably had probably if I maybe was given maybe like 10 or 20 more minutes. But it was just basically the lack of time that always kills me on every sort of exam. I know what I'm talking about. Just don't rush me on it. Okay? So yeah, so this is just a little bit about the tDCS device. I'll show you one more time, and I'm probably going to post a tutorial on how to make one of these because I know a lot of you want to improve your memory as well, or your IQ, or your motor skills. So, and there aren't any tutorial on the internet about how to make one of these yet. So, I probably might make one of these the next time I go to Radio Shack, which will be in a long time from now because to get the parts from Radio Shack, it took me 2 hours to walk to Radio Shack and 2 hours to walk back because I don't have a car, I don't have a bike or a scooter, and I don't think there's any bus to any place near Radio Shack. So I basically ran there or walked there and walked back because I was really desperate to make one of these. Because well, when you want something for a really long time, you just sort of like will do anything to get it. And I've been wanting to make one of these for over a year. I had a chance to make one with my physics professor helping me, so I did it, and I'm very glad. And I think just for the sake of learning, I've learned a lot from making this. Yep, and it's really helping me in my physics class right now since we're studying circuits, chapter 19 or chapter 7 or 18 and 19. Let's see. This is just university physics, so it's not that hard. The next level is college physics, but I don't. That's just college, or that's just calculus based. This is or algebra based, and it's pretty easy. We're just doing simple power calculations, like power equals current times voltage, and we have voltage calculations, like voltage equals current times resistance, and then we're measuring how to combine these different resistance in series and parallel. It's something that basically would be very basic, and but it is very helpful to add on to what I learned on my own in the past year. So, yep, bye.